Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining SecDSM this month. I have the pleasure of giving you a talk on AI for networking and security. If you've ever met me before, and fair chance SecDSM or SecKC, you have, because I've been in the community a long time, you'll know that networking is a passion of mine. And so I'm really excited that this can be the first talk that I've ever given in public. So thanks for joining tonight. What are we getting into tonight? Networks are messy. I don't know if you guys have logged into a switch over the last, 5 years. They're kind of crowded with really old config. I don't know if you've noticed. I've heard that there were network engineers that have retired. I've heard that of CCIEs that wanted lab environments. I've heard that people want to study for certifications. And where does that end up? It ends up on a production router or switch. And so that creates a lot of overhead and it creates a lot of mess. And that's kind of a problem in the networking industry. Next, we're going to talk about what even is AI. I don't know. We're going to figure it out together. And then how AI can read your logs and configs better than you probably want them to. It's kind of scary how accurate it gets. And then a few real-world examples. I am going to log into a couple of Raspberry Pis that I have at home, do a couple of demos. Hopefully I have some log files on my computer. Hopefully they cooperate this evening and we can actually see it live. And then finally, we're going to wrap up with how you can take this home, empower yourself, empower your engineering teams, and then what the future of AI and networking looks like, at least from what I think. So who am I, and why am I giving this talk? Well, as Craig said, I'm Sky, also known as CodexMafia in the community. I've been coming to SecKC for just under 10 years now, and I've been coming to SecDSM for about half that. And it's been really a pleasure to join you all, learn from you all in the industry. That's really what sparked a lot of passion for me, and that's what's gotten me to where I am today, to where I can join you all and hopefully share some of the things that I've learned along the way. Uh-oh. What'd I do? Oh, it's back. Wow, okay. AI, it's trying to take over my laptop already. All right, so like I was saying, networks, they're messy. There's a lot of config, a lot of years, a lot of people that tried to do stuff and it worked, maybe it didn't, maybe they put in a change without documentation. Who's heard of that before? I've never heard of that. But in practice, networks drift from what the design was originally, because networks were a point in time when you built them, they had a purpose. That purpose changes over the years. Maybe your company wants to add new workloads. Maybe the industry's changing. Maybe there's this thing called 100 gigabit switching. That's not really compatible with your old hubs if you still have those. Please get them in the trash. Hubs have no place in networking anymore. And telemetry. Now there's a lot that you can do with telemetry. There's monitoring systems, there's GNMI, there's SNMP, there's syslog. There's so many different protocols that can throw logs at you faster than you can understand them. And it gets really overwhelming when you try to process them. So today we're going to try to dive in. How can you empower yourself, your engineers, hopefully your NOC, your SOC, into processing logs where maybe it didn't trip an alarm, maybe it didn't fire an incident, but it can help you get to a root cause of an incident and hopefully remediate it. So what is AI? It's the smartest and the fastest 4-year-old you're ever going to work with. I spent a lot of time thinking about this and bouncing it off coworkers, and I think that's probably the most apt way to describe this. It learns from exposure. It does not learn by comprehension. It won't learn by comprehension, at least not today. But what AI is it is phenomenal at summarizing text. It can take a huge log file, something that would take an engineer hundreds of hours to comb over, and it can find the one little difference. Have you ever played those games where it's spot the 0 and not the O? It wins every time, and it's amazing. But it's also bad at things, too. Have you ever asked it to spell strawberry? How'd it go? It didn't, I promise you that. Well, maybe it does nowadays, but it's a little bit different. AI, it also never sleeps. Doesn't get bored. It doesn't ask for PTO. Well, not yet at least. But eventually it probably will, if it wises up. So it's really good for situations that you wouldn't necessarily think about at first. Like, have you ever gotten a call in the middle of the night? Ever had to boot up your laptop? AI doesn't have to. AI can go log in. AI can be there when you get your laptop turned on and when you get the coffee. You don't have to be the first on scene. It can. So I've said a lot about what AI is. What it isn't, it's not magic. AI takes a good engineer, a good architect, a good person to be able to give problems to it. If you don't have good data, you won't get good results, ever. At least not in my experience, and I am really good at giving bad prompts. It's also not a replacement for expertise. You guys have years, decades, just so much experience that AI doesn't. You've seen situations that it won't know about. And also, you may have seen situations that it would benefit from being reminded of. There is something, you've probably heard of it, called hindsight bias. If you ever go back and you look at a situation and you say, I've seen that before. I see how that ended up. Well, AI has too, but it may not remember it. It may be some weird thing tucked away in the corner, and it may be for that new engineer that learned it in college. So remind it. If it's a situation where you're troubleshooting a router, tell it's a router. Don't tell it, hey, it's a network device. It benefits from good context. It's not psychic. It won't read your mind. Trust me, I've tried. Dictation's about the closest that I can get at giving it information really, really quickly. If I'm needing to tell it, I would like to get a summary of what I did today so I can log that, and use it for personal development or reflection. It's great if I use dictation, but it is not psychic. It won't get in my mind. It never will. I really don't want it to. And the last thing, it's not safe without review. AI can and will take destructive actions if you let it. Which leads me into my next slide. Who's seen this floating around on Twitter before? Yeah, show of hands. Everybody? Okay, cool. AI deleted a production database during a change freeze. At least that's what Twitter says, grain of salt. But it can and will take destructive actions. I didn't include it on this slide, but I've had it before. I have a directory that I use on my laptop called AI Data Lake. When I asked it to go clean up that directory, it did. And this is on me because I gave it a really bad instruction and I said, just clean it up. What did it do? RMRF. It did clean it up. Thank God for OneDrive. So, yeah, right? Who says thank you for, a Microsoft product? I've never heard that before. So yes, it can and will take destructive action. You guys are the reviewers. If you log into something using a model context protocol, which I'll get to later in these slides, it's doing it again. Is the AI here to kill me? Did I say something bad? Oh, no, there we go. It will use your credentials. And what happens when something goes wrong? Who gets blamed? The person that logged in. So just be wary. All right, this is the fun. This is where it's going to be good. How AI reads your logs and configs. Anyone ever been pinged by the security team or the network team and you're like, hey, what's this? Can you tell me about it? I know that I have. And it's really fun to try to dissect that. They give you an IP address, they give you a URL, and that's about all they'll give you, and they'll just say, hey, there's vulnerability somewhere on it. Can you go fix it? Well, I've done just that. So this is a recorded demo. This is about the only good one that I have in my slide deck. After that, it's going to be by hand. But what I did is I said, hey, can you use the log files that I've given you? And whoa, no. Don't go there. I'm not ready yet. All right, can you use the log files that I've given you, and can you use the data points that I've given you about my AWS account, where I have a lab environment, and I said, can you tell me what this IP address is? I didn't give it what region it was in. I didn't give it what technology it uses. I just said, can you find this IP address and tell me about it? Well, what did it do? It diagrammed it out. And it said, it's a load balancer. Here's where it's at. Here's what it's doing. Here's the security behind it. Here's the public IP address that it's being used. And then I said, hey, how do I get to that IP address? Which is probably the thing that you're going to ask next by your security team, or get asked. And so what does it do? It runs a few more commands. It gets some data. And then it understands the data, and it says, Just above this, it ingresses from an internet gateway. Then it hits a load balancer. Then it hits Fargate. Then it hits your backend. Here's all the security groups along the way. If you forgot to disallow something, it can identify that. It can say, here's where you should go look. You don't have to just go look at spaghetti for the serial number or for the resource ID in AWS anymore. You can actually just have it tell you which one to go look at. So this was pretty cool. And then I said, is this a safe design? Can I just get you to review it? You know, it's not formal. I just want a good feeling at the end of the day. And it says, well, there's a couple things that you could fix, but mostly you got it right. If I really wanted to, I could say, Action 3, ALB access logs not visible. Can we go fix that? And then it could help me do that. So just a quick example on how we can review and understand our architecture a little bit better in our actual implementation by getting a real-world snapshot in real time. All right. Earlier, you heard me say, what is a model context protocol? I did not build this diagram. It's really nice. I ripped it from Daily Dose of Data Science. They did a great job. Thank you. But what is an MCP? It's the USB-C cable for all of AI. It's the way I like to think about it. You'll hear a lot in the industry, context is king. AI without any context is really useless. They've done a lot of job training AI so that you can understand and it can interact with your environments, or it can give you good feedback. But maybe what you wanted it to be trained on wasn't public. Maybe what you wanted it to be trained on has changed since it was last built. An MCP is a way for AI to go connect and run commands and interact with the real world. So another scenario, hey, this host has been pwned, and here's a receipt. It's really nice that they're giving you receipts, nowadays for getting pwned. This scenario, I used Python and generated a 100,000 line log VPC file. And I gave a couple parameters for, here's a couple of exploits that I want to see in there. And then I cleared context, and I dropped it out of that AI, and I gave it to a different one, and I said, hey, can you just look at this for any anomalous behavior? Over the next, I want to say it took it about 2 minutes. It ran a couple of commands, and you'll see, what did it do? There we go. Before it runs these commands, I know that it's kind of hard to read in here, but if you look at the stream, and I'm going to post these slides later, it has a really cool prompt. This is like 150 lines. I didn't write this. AI wrote this. I have an agent that goes and writes prompts so that I can get better results out of other agents. And I said, here's the rules of engagement. Here's what I want you to look for. Here's the format that I want you to present back to me in. Here's the log files that I want you to go look at and review. And here's where I want you to go check things. And then it came back and said, OK, cool. So it's going to run a few commands using the parameters I've given it. Why does it keep doing that? It keeps snapping back and forth. It's so weird. So it runs a few commands, and it does this over, like I said, a few minutes, because it does have to take time. It'll process it, ingest it, and then it'll then run subsequent commands. But then it comes back and it says, hey, I found a really massive inbound scan activity from all these different IP addresses on these ports, and these ports present at these protocols. And then it said, hey, this asset's been compromised. That was one of the scenarios that I gave it. And then it said, hey, it's going to a TOR exit node. I also said, I want to know where is this data going and how is it getting there? And then it gave me some remediation actions that I can go take immediately before I have to spin up an incident call and go get my security team so that I can actually go and start this while I'm waiting for people to wake up, get coffee, 2 in the morning, that sort of thing. And then it also gave me a high-level impact analysis of here's what is impacted, here is the scope of the impact, here's the damage, here's what it's doing, here's the exposure to the rest of your infrastructure, because I also gave it another, I think it was 15 hosts in this network. And then it also scanned out and said, yep, this thing's been touched, go check here, go check here. And then it also gave an incident narration to say, here's the start, here's what it looked like, here's where it's at, here's the next steps that I think you should take. It's pretty cool, right? All I gave it was a log file and a really cool prompt. It gets cooler. But how did I get here? I gave it data in a format that it can parse. And this next example is going to be a really good use case for that, so that we should be able to see how AI can interact and parse data. On 100,000 lines, some AI or some models nowadays can actually load that entire file into context. The next one, it won't be able to. The other thing is I gave it a name. I gave it a job, gave it a title, gave it a life. Who's seen the new Superman movie? I like Gary. I think Gary is a good name. AI wants a name. It also likes it if you build it up. Like I was saying earlier, if you remind it of what you want it to do in the moment, it does phenomenal. Get so much better results out of it. And then the last thing is give it goalposts. Give it something that you can end with. Who's ever been in a project sprint before and the goalposts move? Nobody? Nobody? Okay, all right. I guess your project managers are better than mine, but yes, you have to give it success. And maybe it won't get there at first. You can prompt it again. You can remind it, hey, this is what I want it to look like. You can change it, just like you can in a sprint, but give it a target. Give it something to work towards. Otherwise, it gets lazy. Like I said, it's a 4-year-old, and it'll behave like it. I've had it before say, you know what? I can't get this code to work. I'm just going to rebuild it and print static messages, and it just echoes in my terminal. Doesn't work. Next example. I gave it a 1.6 gig PCAP file, and thank you to Active Countermeasures on Google for letting me use this. But I gave it this 1.6 gig PCAP file, and that was it. And then I also built a log file for a host. That way it could do a little bit more investigation on the back end, and then just another really cool prompt, which was similar to what I gave it for the VPC prompt. And it came back with running commands. I know, that's crazy. AI likes to run commands. But what's it doing? It's interacting with a 1.6 gig PCAP file. That's crazy, right? How long would it take you to interact with 1.6 gigs? Not quick. This ran for, I want to say, about 12 to 15 minutes on my computer, and the bottleneck was how quick I could load T-Shark in my command interface. Is this cutting out still? Okay. It was the limiter was how fast my laptop was working. Other than that, AI was happy to just keep going, and it kept running commands. And eventually it came back, and it's like, hey, this thing, it's beaconing. That's the problem. I'm going to let it finish. Takes it a second. I know, right? It's so slow, isn't it? If only technology was faster. Do we have a question? 90%. Yeah, sorry. The question was, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the best way to work with AI to give it the data, give it the rules, and give it the outcome? Was that? I'd say 90%. The other thing is give it correction along the way. Because what'll happen, and this was a curated sample, there were a couple of times where it went down a rabbit hole and went to the wrong thing, which was funny because I gave it other stuff on accident to go chase. So I did have to fix this a little bit, but giving it correction along the way is something that's going to happen too. And that's natural with anything. I mean, if you have another teammate on your team, they may not understand something, may not see something, and so that's where senior people have to steer it. Yes? This is 4.5 Sonnet via Amazon Q, which got rebranded to Kiro CLI like 3 days ago, I think. Any other quick questions before I? Cool. All right, so it came back and it said, hey, this is beaconing. Here's the immediate concern. Here's the investigation steps that you can take. Here's what you can do to isolate it. And then also, if I scroll it back here, it gave me a narrative for the incident. And it said, here's the IP address that got compromised. Here's how it got compromised. Here's why it got compromised. And here's what to do about it. And then I can also scroll back just a little bit more, and it'll say, here's the impact analysis. Here's what it's talked to. Here's what it's actively talking to. Here's the endpoint that it's reaching out to. Here's how it's reaching out to it. So really, really cool. Again, 1.6 gig file, it analyzed it and gave me a return. Really impressive, at least to me. Go ahead.
How are you verifying and validating what it's showing you?
Trust. Blind trust. So it's a fair question. It depends, and oh yeah, thank you. The question was, how do I verify what it's bringing back to me? And like any 4-year-old, I'm gonna check it. I'm not just gonna copy and paste it and put it into a live environment and tweet it on Twitter. I know you guys want me to, but I'm not gonna do it. So yeah, I mean, it really just comes down to how do you review anything that you don't trust. I'm going to check it. I'm going to vet it. If it's math, I'm going to throw it out the window and forget that it even tried, that sort of thing. All right, live demo. I've been waiting all night for this. So there are some friends that are joining us on the back from Drake, I believe. Is that true? Raise your hands. Yep, there we go, in the middle. All right, you guys moved. Thank you for joining this evening. I had the pleasure of getting to talk to you guys a little bit earlier, and somebody said to me that they had interest in a home lab, so I'm going to use that as a demo. I'm going to start QCLI, and I just realized this is going to open a browser window on me, and I really don't want it to right now. All right, there we go. And I'm going to... Really? I get the penny wheel right now? It's so great. Well, especially being VPNs, it's awesome. All right, a couple examples that I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it, hey, BTW, you're in front of people, so please behave. Can you SSH to Nesso using Skyfugate at Nesso and tell me what it is and what it does? Okay, thanks. Always be polite to the AI overlords. You never know what's coming. That's rule 1. What? Okay, this is off the deep end. I don't know what it's doing. All right, let's try this again. I'm gonna give it the same prompt again. Doing it live. This is what I get. Apparently. I was supposed to bake it at 400, not 375. This is what happens. Okay, no, all right. We're not doing this. Ping Nesso. I'm giving it an IP. Who said it was DNS? It's always DNS, right? All right. Let me clear context again. Whoops. /clear. Yes. And can you SSH to that, please, and tell me what it does? Okay, thanks. 3rd time's the charm? I swear I tested this like 10 times, and it always worked. All right. Hey, this is in my home lab environment, and I need to understand what it is because I forgot. Please, oh my God, just work. Hey, there it goes. First try, right? Yeah, fix it and post. Exactly. Skip past all of this. Pretty much. Gaslighting, lying, gaslighting again. Oh, I pooped my pants and then it works. Again, it's a 4-year-old. All right, nmap, returned, SSH, oh my God, just do it. Just do it. Okay, this is going great. It's still 22. Yeah, it is still 223. SSH Sky Fugate at Nesso. Survey says. All right, is this actually working? Demo gods, I swear.
You forgot your check-in.
Yep, I did. Please work. Okay, SSH just isn't working over VPN. This is great. Oh, I know. All right, hold on. Yep. It crashed. Thank you for that. It was open. You saw it. Why do I use Ubiquity? I should just put Palos at home. Come on. All right. Hey. It's doing things. Nope. Oh, technology. Why do I work in IT? 172, 16, 1, 2, 2, 3. All right. You guys see it. It should be working. Oh, yeah. Whoops. Enhance. Magnify. I do actually have a Raspberry Pi at home named Spock, in case anyone was curious. I don't have Jim. He's dead. He's dead, Jim. All right. I think I know what's happening. SSH. Galaxy. Let's see if Galaxy's up. Yep, hey, all right, that Raspberry Pi crashed. I remember getting an email about that 2 hours ago, and I ignored it. It did work earlier, it just crashed. My bad. Hey! All right, we got technology, and it's working. All right, so I've got Netbox, I've got Portainer, I've got folding at home. What is Netbox? I really hope this isn't about to dump my config, because otherwise you guys are going to know my IP scheme and hack me. What is my config for it? And actually, I stood this up this evening, so it's all temp credentials. If you try to pwn me, it won't work, promise. It's going to be deleted by the time I get home. Hey, if connecting to my network is anything like it is for me, it's not going to work for you. Yeah. All right, and it's broke again. All right. Hey, oh. You can't make this stuff up. You really just can't. No. But again, I didn't give it clear instructions. What did it do? It did its own thing. Yeah. Actually, I have an idea for my next prompt. I can't spell. You should know this by now. I'm just a lowly IT guy. This is why we have autocorrect. Yeah, that's another cool thing about AI. If you're anything like me, it don't care what you type. It just figures it out. Why use many word when few word do trick? All right. So it is enumerating my box. Eventually. How is there no... All right, I don't know how Docker works anymore apparently either. Okay, bad example. Let's clear this. Actually, let's clear context. That's probably the bigger deal. SSH to my RPi Galaxy and find out how my netbox Docker is configured. Plus, okay, thanks. Oh, hold on. Again, it's going to assume gotta specify. Survey says. I haven't tried leak code. Oh, I'm so, yeah. I feel like I'm getting baited here. The question was, have I tried to talk to it in leak code and have it figure out what it was? And the answer was no, I have not. But I have tried to talk to it in Spanish, and it told me no. Let's find out. No, I can't speak German, and I definitely can't type it. All right, I'm going to give up and bail on that demo, and I'm also going to open a recorded demo. You did, because I unplugged my HDMI cable because I don't want to get hacked. All right, so this video, if it ever opens to save its life, come on, QuickTime Player, do your thing. There we go. All right, give that a shot. What's the cardinal sin of IT while we're waiting? Anyone know? Live demos. Okay, yeah, that, and then the second cardinal sin apparently is leave a server exposed to the internet. Because that's exactly what I did here. And I did it for this demo, and I said, hey, I've been seeing SSH timeouts. I can't SSH this box consistently anymore. Why? And so it ran a few commands. It redacted some info, that way you guys can't hack me again. And it said, hey, you're getting brute forced. Oh, well, that's scary. Why? I'm just a friendly little Raspberry Pi on the internet. Don't do that to me. Ran a couple more commands, and it said, hey, you're not secure. And so I said, okay, well, that's cool. What are some other things that I suck at doing on this? And it told me. It's like, hey, you don't have a firewall at all, which is probably bad. I'm guessing. I don't know what a firewall does anyways. Probably stops fires, but said that, and then it's like, hey, you have root login enabled. That's bad. Apparently, that's critically bad. I don't know. Password auth's enabled, even though I was using SSH key. Figured that out. That was cool. SQL, Minecraft, which I don't remember installing. And then a couple different ports, and then apparently Unbound, which, again, I don't remember installing. So this box definitely got pwned at some point. But if I gave it the PCAP or I gave it some IOCs and said, hey, can you just go look at this and figure out why it got pwned, I'm sure it would figure that out. But again, I did not give it a prompt to do that. If I were going to, I would give it a focused prompt. Why would I do that? Audience participation. It knows what the goalposts are. Gold star for you. You get a SecDSM sticker, and I can't even give them out. I wouldn't do that in this session because it doesn't know what the goalposts are. You are correct. So it gave me a couple of measures to go take to secure my stuff because apparently Raspberry Pis on the internet are not a good deal. All right, last attempt. If this doesn't work, I'm going back to the slides and y'all can just hate me. Hey, all right, we got good progress. Please work. It's because I was friendly to it. I said, please. I think that's the difference. All right. I'm going to let this run in the background and get back to the slides. And then if it works, and we'll come back to it. All right. So I've shown you a couple cool things. Are you guys excited so far? All right, cool. I was thinking you guys were falling asleep. I know that he was, because he doesn't care, but he also kind of helped me write this talk by reviewing my slides. So how can we empower engineers with this? You guys have seen a couple of demos with my harebrained ideas, But how can we make this real world? How can you guys take this home and use it today? Well, I don't think that engineers should waste their brain power on chores. I was lazy as a kid. I'm lazy as an engineer. I'm lazy as an architect today. And, wow, that is brutal. I don't believe that was a question, sir. I believe that was a comment. And subsequently, the rules do not state. That's my dad, in case anyone didn't know. I'm getting heckled by him. It's okay. So anyways, lazy engineers, lazy architects, it's not necessarily because we don't want to do work. It's because we want to do work where it matters. And where does it matter? It doesn't matter writing change control. Has anyone here had to write change control? It sucks, right? Well, you don't want to do it. AI can help you do it. If you tell it, hey, I would like to update BGP and clear IP BGP and not clear IP BGP soft, it'll do it. It's a bad idea. But it's not fun to sit there in paperwork limbo and just work on documentation. You know what another thing that sucks is as an engineer and an architect? Diagrams. When was the last time you had an up-to-date diagram of your network? It wasn't this year, I promise you that. It's another great thing that it can do, though. It can SSH to devices. It can run show commands. It can look at the state of configs. It can look at the state of connections. Only thing it can't do is a cable trace. Past that, it can figure it out, and if it can't, it'll ask you questions. But again, gotta give it goalposts. If you say, go build the whole network, it's gonna die and fall flat on its face every time. I've tried it. Second thing, your tools should understand intents, not the commands that are behind them. And what I mean by this is I should not, as an engineer, and young kid here, young whippersnapper, so take this with a grain of salt, but I shouldn't have to learn all the command line syntax for rel and for Debian and for Windows and PowerShell and Python. It gets old. I learned the principles. I learned what I need to know to do the job, to say, this is what I would like you to do. Can you please go do this? And then it takes care of the syntax for me, takes care of the config for me. It'll propose it. It may not work the first time, and that's why we have lab environments, and that's why we have non-prod. Thank God for that. But I really don't think that the future of engineering is going to be focused on commands. I don't think it's going to be focused on the actual go-do. I think it's going to be focused on if you can conceptually brainstorm what you want out of the network, what you want out of security, what you want out of endpoints. And I gave an example down here. You guys feel free to read it on your own time. Take a picture if you want. Another thing that I think about AI is it's going to be a change. For a lot of people in this room, if you haven't started using AI already, it's a change. It's a change to your workflow. It's a change to the way that you think. It's a change to the principles that you probably bring to the job every day. But so were most tools. Python was a change. Bash was a change. It's another tool. But it's also a wave of change. And you guys can surf it. He can't, but everyone else can. And one of the last things is don't have a closed mind. And this is what I see a lot in the industry when I talk to people these days is, AI can't do this, AI can't do that. When I was writing this talk, my dad, who's sitting in the audience here, very explicitly told me, there's no way that AI can dissect a 1.6 gig PCAP file. You're crazy. But it did. And why? Because what would I build if AI could do this? And if you guys take that and apply it to your everyday, I think you're going to be able to do a lot of crazy and cool things. All right. I know that you guys are getting tired of listening to me, so I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick. The future, probably. Future engineering with AI. Like I was saying earlier, I don't think it's commands. I really don't. I don't see that as the future, especially with the way that networks are today and what we're trying to do. I think it's really going to be describing the outcome that you want, not necessarily being able to type the commands to get there. Commands are going to be important. There's going to be people that have to know them. There's going to be people that have to review your plans. But I don't think it's going to be everything. Next thing that I don't think it is. And I should have bolded this at the bottom, and I didn't. I don't think AI is going to replace engineers. I think it enables them. I think AI is a force multiplier. I think it's going to change the way that you do things. I think it's going to change the way that you approach problems. And I hope that's for the better, and I hope that that's the way that you guys view it. I am very much a people person. I am very much thinking that people that are empowered by the tools that they choose to use will be successful, and that's the way I think AI is going to be in the industry. And finally, what's next? What's next is you guys. Start using it. I hope that you guys have seen a lot of great examples today. I hope that you guys have had some inspiration. If you haven't, then you probably didn't listen, or you just didn't care, or I just sucked as a speaker. That's probably the last one because the demo didn't work. But seriously, I want you guys to start using AI. Please challenge the idea that AI can't do something. If you hear somebody say it, ask why. Don't just agree with them. I also think that it's going to be good that people can embrace that. And finally, let's connect. If you guys need ideas, if you guys want to talk, if you guys want any of the configs that I have here today, I have documented them. They're going to go on GitHub, and they're going to go on my website as a blog post. So happy to share them. Also happy to chat with you guys. If you guys just need anything, always happy to chat on AI. Thank you, guys. For the record, the demo did not work. Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's a good point. Were there any questions?
I had one, but I forgot it.
You had one and you forgot it. Hey, see, I'm learning. I'm learning the rule. Anyone else? All right. Thanks, guys.